Good morning, class. This is Sir JB, and welcome to another lesson in RE1. Today, we will discuss Module 5.1, which is what is a disciple. Are you ready? Let's proceed to our lesson. First part of our lesson is the meaning of the word disciple. What is the meaning of the word disciple? The word disciple comes from the Latin word discipulus, which means pupil or a learner. It is also from the Greek word mathetes, which means learner or student. By the way, the word mathetes is the derivative of the word manthano, which means to learn. Jesus was popularly known as a teacher or rabbi, as his associates were known as his disciples. So the word rabbi means teacher. And all who responded to his message is considered as his disciple, as found in Luke 6:17, 19-37. So today, if you have received Jesus as your Lord and Savior, automatically you also become his disciple. So Jesus has disciples before. He has 12 disciples. But today, all who responded to his message can be considered as disciples. A second part of our lesson is about the background of being a disciple. Soon after Jesus was baptized and tempted, he began his ministry. But in order to begin his ministry, he needed to have men who will serve as his disciples, who will follow him wherever he will go, and who he will teach and prepare for the coming future. Jesus one time went to the Sea of Galilee, and there he found Peter. And eventually, he talked to him and was able to tell him and his friends, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And immediately they left their nets and followed him. It's found in Mark chapter 1, verse 17 and 18. Jesus Christ selected and trained men who would represent him in the world in the coming days to minister to the world for him. He selected and called them by name and bound them to himself. These were ordinary men, yet they were skilled and resourceful. What do you think? Why did Jesus selected ordinary men? Why not men of good education? But he chose the ordinary man to make an extraordinary work. Probably you are thinking that you are also an ordinary person. But if you follow Christ, you can be his disciple and you'll be able to do extraordinary things. What are the work of these disciples? 6 of them were fishermen on the Sea of Galilee. In other texts, they consider 7. Namely, it could be Andrew, Peter, or Simon Peter, James, John, Philip, Thomas, and Bartholomew. Of course, we have one who is a tax collector, and that is Matthew. And we have tradesmen, like that of James, the son of Alphaeus, and Judas Thaddeus. Also, we have a zealot, who is a religious activist known as Simon. And finally, we have Judas Iscariot, who is considered the treasurer of the group. All of these disciples were from Galilee, except Judas, the man from Iscariot. As you can see in the map, the orange here is the map of Galilee. And we can see in the middle the Sea of Galilee. It is where Jesus had seen Peter and his friends and called them to be his disciples. One of them is from Judea, which is the lower area. It is where Iscariot or Judas lived. Jesus spent time with his disciples. He taught them, led them, and prayed for them, that they may learn to reach out people in Jerusalem, as well as in Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. That's why Jesus would spend his time to teach them day and night and lead them and pray for them so that they will be ready for the coming challenges as his disciples. Jesus selected and trained them to conquer the world in his name. Also, he called them his friends rather than his servants, for he had taught them everything he had learned from his Father, as found in John 15:15. He said, "From now on, I call you not servants, for the servant knows not what his Lord does, but I have called you friends." So if you are a disciple of Jesus, you are no longer his servant. He do not consider you as a servant, but he considers us as friends. Disciples were sent out for the mission as soon as they were equipped and empowered with the power that God will never leave them alone, as he promised in Matthew 28 verse 20, that he will be with them until the end of the age. And of course, until now, if you consider yourself as a disciple of Jesus, God is with you, to guide you and to help you. And finally, they were also called the 12 apostles of Christ, which means the ambassadors or messengers of Christ. So let us learn in the short clip what is the meaning of being a disciple and ponder upon it in our lives.
What is a disciple? As Christians, it's important for us to understand what it means to be disciples of Jesus Christ. I think they're one and the same. A disciple is a Christian, and a Christian is a disciple. But if I was to share with you just a few practical pointers on what a disciple is, we know that the word disciple means a learner, but it's not a passive learner. It's an active learner. It's a learner who lives to learn and learns to live. And together, this makes this disciple first and foremost a follower of Jesus. A disciple is a follower. You know, I would encourage us as Christians to change the language. When we go around and we ask people, "Are you a Christian?" Many people will say, "Oh, yes." But try this. Are you a follower of Jesus Christ? That's a little more weighty and substantial, isn't it? It asks, are they a verb? Are they a follower? Are they really going after Jesus Christ? So a Christian or a disciple, is a follower. Secondly, he is a person or she is a person that's an example. We are to exemplify what we expect. We're to model what we mandate. We're to show what we share in our lives. And then finally, I think a disciple, biblically speaking, is a reproducer. It's multiplication ministry. As a disciple, we're also a disciple maker. We look to make disciples. I've got this group of boys that I'm discipling. It's my son and some of his friends. And I spent some time with them, talking to them, and I was challenging them. I said, you don't have to wait till you become an adult to start making disciples. You can start reproducing ministry right now. You can start multiplication ministry right now. And I challenge these kids who are 12 and 13. I want you to go and find maybe somebody in your neighborhood or at school over the next week and start investing in them. Share the things that I share with you in our discipleship meetings with them and help that person to grow more like Jesus. And each of those kids said they knew somebody, and I challenged them to go and do that. Well, in your own life, how can you better follow Jesus? How can you better be an example? And then third, who can you begin to invest in right now where you're not only a disciple, but you are a disciple maker? Because a disciple is a follower of Christ. That's what a Christian is.
So I hope that starting today, you will consider yourself as one of the disciples of Jesus, and you will live for Him and for His glory. Thank you. That's all for today, and God bless. To God be the glory.